Hello, Reds in the USA and beyond. Liverpool 3, Crystal Palace 1, and a third straight victory for Liverpool FC. And they've certainly strengthened their claims to make it to next season's Champions League, especially with Villa going down at Fulham today. So, Derby victory last week, and there were lots of positive signs. And as we've seen so many times this season, Liverpool get a good performance or a good result. How is the next game going to be? And I'd have to say for a good half an hour and most of the first half, it was back to slow passing, especially in their own half. And it wasn't looking so hot again. It seemed like the ploy was possess and then see if they could counter. And to be fair, Salah has been coming back into form, and he was looking lively on the right. But other than that, as I say, it was slow possession. And really, Crystal Palace should have taken the lead when an Adam Wharton cross was headed over the bar by US international Chris Richardson. And that was perhaps the only time that Freddie Woodman was maybe caught napping a little bit. He got drawn off his line. And really, if Richards had just glanced at it, he'd probably have scored because Woodman was out of position. So not a brilliant first half an hour. But anyway, there was the penalty incident, which I didn't think was a penalty once we saw the VAR. It was a good tackle by Brennan Johnson. But Liverpool did take the lead through Alexander Isak, and I'd have to say, I didn't know he was playing, to be honest with you, at that point, because we hadn't really seen anything of him. But to be fair, he took it very, very well. It was kind of a stray shot from, I think it was Alexis McAllister. He controlled it well, hit it into the ground, and it was 1-0 to Liverpool. And in some ways, in terms of chances created, slightly against the run of play. And happy for Isak, obviously, because this is his third game back. And it's been difficult trying to get him up to speed. So in some ways, starting the game has been good for him. And he certainly went for a little bit longer. And in the second half, he was more in evidence, I would say. But when he scored, I didn't know he was on the field, to be honest with you. But a good goal, and hopefully it gives him some confidence going into the remaining games of the season. And this was going to be a day when we found out what our third choice goalkeeper was up to. I wondered if Palace would put him under pressure. And I don't know if they did it so directly, but let's just put it like this. Dean Henderson didn't have to make any saves, certainly from shots. Woodman did. He made 5 saves, and I think this one that he made, I can't remember who headed it for Palace. Might have been Mateta, not sure, but it was a really, really vital save. And Woodman got across the goal, scooped it away wide. Obviously, that is good goalkeeping, and lo and behold, Liverpool got the ball and went down the other end and scored. And it was a beautifully constructed goal because Woodman, I think Konate picked it up, gave it to Wirtz. Wirtz, great turn, released Curtis Jones, who'd pushed up into central midfield from the right back position. And a peach of a through ball, Andy Robertson on the end of it. And he finished it like a striker. It was a great finish. And I really hope that for the remaining games that that Robertson stays in the team, because I'll be very honest with you, whilst I think Kirkus is a good fullback, I don't feel he's really settled at Anfield. And those performances have become gradually better. Liverpool looks so much more comfortable with Andy Robertson in the team. They play better collectively. I think Van Dijk feels more at ease with Robertson at his shoulder. So I'm really hoping the manager will keep him in for his last few games at Anfield. So it was 2-0. It was 2-0 at the half. And as I say, long periods of just slow possession, which is not what we want to see. But I think you can say for once that Liverpool took their chances. Palace, I thought, played a lot more on the front foot than perhaps we were expecting. But it was a good result. Maybe not the best performance, but let's not quibble on it. Into the second half, and I think that what's happened over the second half was we saw a little more confidence from Liverpool, at times stringing passes together. But having said that, so many big spaces all over the field, the Crystal Palace were able to get into and cause Liverpool problems. And they did cause problems. And finally, we had an incident when they scored, controversial, I'd have to say. And I can't remember who was put through, but somebody was put through for Palace. Woodman came out bravely, made a good save and collided, I think, with the Crystal Palace player. And then the ball ended up going back to Daniel Munez, who chipped it into the goal, very much incurring the wrath of the crowd. And at the time, I thought that it happened so quickly that maybe Munez didn't realize what was going on. But having watched it back clearly, I mean, his head's up, he must have seen the keeper on the ground and he chips it in. So I think it's one of those situations where it's within his rights to do that. Is it within the spirit of the game, given some of the things that have happened in Premier League history? Notably, I think Robbie Fowler was involved in one incident that was similar, although it was a penalty shot that he deliberately missed. And then there was an Everton situation against West Ham where Everton goalkeeper Paul Gerrard went down and Paolo Di Canio, rather than score, just caught the ball. So, yeah, there's a bit of controversy over that one. And I think Daniel Munez, when he walked off the field, will know that he's not going to be getting any Christmas cards from anyone from Liverpool this year. And Liverpool continued to be a little bit open, and I think that this is a recurring tale. And so while this is a positive result for Liverpool, whilst European Champions League is looking more and more likely, I don't think that we can be totally blind to some of the downsides of the performance, because these are recurring themes, and in other games this year we've been exposed. Finally, Florian Wirtz gets his goal at Anfield, gets it in front of the Kop, and it was an absolute cracker. First of all, he had chased something down. He'd earned a throw-in for the team. The ball ended up going into the centre. A good layoff from Alexis McAllister, and a great finish from Florian Wirtz, showing the calibre of player that we know that he is. And I'd have to start off with him and say that he had a good game. He worked hard. He created a lot. And very glad to see he gets the reinforcement of a goal to top it all off. Besides that, let's just go through the team. Freddie Woodman, excellent in goal. I know some people now will maybe tongue-in-cheek be calling him to start down the line, but he did the job and he was brave. And as I said, he had to make saves, whereas the Crystal Palace goalkeeper, Dean Henderson, did not. So again, I think that's significant. I think in defence, Curtis Jones did well, pushing up into the midfield. Not sure that he can do it every game. If they were to try to make him a permanent right back, I think he would be targeted. But I thought he was excellent. Andy Robertson, as I said earlier, were excellent. Van Dijk and Konate. I mean, obviously Konate was given some problems by Mateta early on, but he seemed to settle the situation down the further the game went along. McAllister, who struggled this season, had a good game today. He is one player that when he's on his game can certainly pass through the lines. So hopefully that gives him some encouragement. And Szoboszlai, as always, was here, there and everywhere. So he has certainly laid down another marker to be called player of the season for Liverpool this year. Isak, I think he came into the game more after he scored. So, as I said earlier, some confidence for him. And Gakpo, again, showing some good touches and maybe showing a little bit of form, as I think the whole team is overall, given some of the ups and downs of not so long ago, particularly those games against Manchester City and PSG. So an encouraging result and a big game in prospect when they run up against the Evil Empire next week at Old Trafford. The only downside was the injury to Mo Salah, and it was unfortunate. It was unfortunate. He's obviously done something to his hamstring. Will that be his last game? Some of his body language coming off the field suggested it might be, because I think Salah is an experienced pro. He knows his body, and yeah, he's probably done his hamstring before. So hopefully that is not the case. But it's been a tough season for Mo Salah, as I think we all know. But I thought he was very lively, although I'd have to credit the young Crystal Palace defender he was up against. I thought that was a good battle, but Mo was certainly more involved, a lot more positive in his play than we'd seen earlier in the season. So, as I say, hopefully that's not his last game, and he'll be back, if not at Old Trafford next week, at least before the season ends, because I think that when Liverpool plays Brentford at the end of the season, I think the crowd will want to give him and Andy Robertson the kind of tributes that the two players have earned in their time at Anfield. So, again, Liverpool 3, Crystal Palace 1. The bogey team for Liverpool this season, Crystal Palace. I think the Reds have finally put that one to bed. And let's hope we can get something similar next week, further down the East Lancs Road at Old Trafford. So until then, please like and subscribe to this channel, and we will see you tomorrow. I think Salim is going to do something. He was feeling a little under the weather today, so it was just me, and hopefully Salim will give his thoughts tomorrow about today's match. Until then, you'll never walk alone, and come on you Reds. Bye now.